Celebrating the people who make coastal Mississippi a great place to live, work, and play. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by the South Mississippi Boat Show, Friday, April 29th through Sunday, May 1st. And by AGJ Systems and Networks. On SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast, 103.1.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. And today, I would say today's a really special edition because we're going to do some celebrating today as Adele Lyons from the Mississippi Coast Chamber, the CEO of the Chamber, and I are going to reflect a bit on the One Coast Awards this week and also talk about each of the recipients, the top 10 under 40 and the top 10 community leaders. And it's just going to be a great celebration. But anyway, welcome to Coast View, my friend.
Good morning, Ricky. How are you? Good to see you
I'm
again.
doing great. So before we get into the winners, I just want to reflect a bit about leadership and the Leadership Awards program. I mentioned a page on the show this week that the way that you and Tish and Paige and just the way that the chamber leaders work together. It was something to watch. You guys have done a great job collaborating on this, haven't you?
Yeah, it comes together. Everybody kind of plays their part. Early on, it's really just getting the nominations out, getting the word out so that we get folks. And that's really not a problem, as you've seen with the numbers that we have. But we certainly don't want people to get complacent, which, of course, we talked about complacency a good bit at the event, that we need to honor these folks. And then we come together with the event having everybody's got a hand in it, from getting the people in the door and getting them seated till Tish loves to do the actual MC part of that. And it's worked out well for us.
Tish Williams from the Hancock County Chamber is a great leader, not just in Hancock County, but along the coast. Of course, you, Adele Lyons from Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber, and then Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber, and then, of course, Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber. It was great to see you. And I said to Paige that it was awesome the way you guys sort of passed the baton. Y'all have got it down, and I'm not surprised by this, incidentally, because if you look at the four of you, you're all task masters. And I've worked with you for years, not just there, but in the Knight Foundation and other ways we've worked together. But you're a taskmaster extraordinaire. But nailing down the details and making it be a well-run machine, it has, the partnership with the Beau Rivage has really turned out to be a good one over many, many years. I mean, even when it was at the Sun Heralds, we worked with the Beau Rivage, and they've done a great job. But it's an event that if you don't watch the clock, you could get in trouble, huh?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest of the is wrangling all the cats and getting everybody in the room and getting them seated, and everybody's so busy buzzing around and visiting, which is a great component of that. But getting started and keeping the program on time, because we got to, people's got to get back to work and get back to all the things they do in their lives and in the communities. So, so that's the toughest part, is keeping us on time, really.
When you look across the room, you had mayors there. You had other elected officials there. You had, some of the titans of industry there. You had companies represented. Really, it was a packed house, and it was great to see, a great mix of those leaders that are sort of passing the baton and new leaders coming along. But I mentioned, even with people like Jerry St. Pay, which I mentioned the page, you say, passing the baton, certainly he's doing that with his inspiration, but man, he's still engaged. He's still on board. He's still in his 80s. Yeah. I mean, it seems to be no stop. I look at Mayor Knight from Moss Point, who came up to me afterwards and was just effusively thankful that we included him in the video. But I mean, what an inspiration he is. But you think about this great cadre of leaders we have, not only those that have been around for a while and still contributing, and this new crop that's coming up. It's powerful, man. This new crop has a lot to do in the future, but it's great to see it when you look across that room and see all those people in there at one time. We can't do enough celebrating leadership in coastal Mississippi, can we?
Yeah, I mean, we had 440 people in the room. That was a sellout for that event. We actually had to turn a couple of people away on Monday that called wanting tickets, but we were at capacity. Folks like the event. You feel good when you leave. The word hope was used a couple of times. You feel very hopeful when you see and hear what all's going on. And what's really interesting is to watch the under 40 and then see in a few years where they're also receiving the community leader awards. So these folks that are keeping on, carrying the torch, moving into that community leader role. And then some of the folks that maybe over the years either didn't get nominated or didn't return their nomination form that maybe are a little bit seasoned that we, kind of play catch up on those. I mean, one of those that comes to mind for me right away is like Guy Johnson with Coast Electric. I mean, Guy's been around for a really long time doing so much work in the community, particularly in Hancock County. It's not like he just started in this game, but he just received the award. But I'd have to go back and look. I mean, it could have been either he wasn't nominated, and of course the nominees fill out the application themselves and send it back in. And sometimes just from a time factor, you just don't get around to it, even though you ought to, you should. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little funny on Michael Sunderman. He called the day the application was due and said, "Hey, I'm just busy. I can't get it done. Can I turn it in late?" And so now I'm going to tell myself, we don't accept late applications. It's the deadline is the deadline. And next thing you know, we get it in. He gets it in on time. And when he came off the stage the other day, I said, "Aren't you glad you got that turned in?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." I mean, Michael's a great example of somebody who's also been around for a long time, but just sometimes you don't get around to the process of it. But it's always fun. And it's always, we get so many compliments on the event. And that's not because of what we do for it. It's just, I think, the energy in the room that people appreciate.
It is. And as we all know, and something you and I have talked about many times before, every community, I don't care where you are or how successful you are, every community has the same challenge. And that is, we don't have enough leaders. That's just the reality. Leadership comes in so many different forms. I mean, you could be leading an organization, a volunteer organization. You could be a corporate leader that's trying to inspire some change somewhere. You could be just volunteering in the community and setting an example for others. It could be that you just know what's going on. You're not active in anything, but you're involved in an important conversation with a legislator or a mayor, and you say it the right way because you understand how it needs to be said so that there's alignment instead of, sort of tearing us apart, which can happen if people aren't
Right.
engaged properly. Leadership comes in so many different forms. And, when you think about over 100 young people under 40 getting nominated and only 10 being selected, man, that bodes well for the cadre of young people coming along, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's always so impressive. And a lot of times, and I think you've said this before, last year, it was people you didn't know. Because you kind of, for me, I stay a little more connected with the younger, because we have the Coast Young Professionals group that we participate in and run. But if you kind of are out of that generationally, your kids are a little bit older, so that sort of thing. You're like, who are these people? But then once you start hearing what they're doing, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
it's great. And then we had 102 community leaders that were also nominated. So the numbers are always high. Tough job for the judges. They get a binder that's about this thick, and they have to go through those. And they always come in. They don't know who each other are until they get into the meeting. We've gotten the scores independently, and they come in and we go through the scores for them to make those final selections. And it's tough. It is really tough. They're like, I didn't know this is going to take so much time, and I didn't know this is going to be so hard. And it is. And so we're
And
very appreciative to them who don't get any accolades, because we keep those judges anonymous.
Yeah, same. We did the same thing at the Sun Herald, and what I was often told by the judges was what you just said: tough assignment. But what they learned during the process, they're better people for it. They're better
Oh, yeah.
leaders as a result of what they went through. Hey, one of the things that is even more challenging here, and I think it's important for us to sort of nod to this, and that is that the most powerful characteristic of coastal Mississippi is that we're a collection of communities.
Mhm.
That's one of our most powerful things, that these communities all come together to create a powerful region. At the same time, our biggest challenge is we're a collection of communities. So it's the
Right.
ultimate dichotomy. But having people who get that our strength is the sense of place that exists in each of those communities, and how people come here, and how it creates this wonderful quality of life, and how visitors like to come here, etc. But at the same time, being able to come together when we talk about common issues. And that's a challenge. That means that when you do leadership development, which is so important, and we do things like the leadership awards where we can hold people up as an example. It's all about educating people about what there's a lot to learn. I mean, there's a lot to learn if we're going to be serious about leadership in coastal Mississippi, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, and there's of course the various leadership programs that all the chambers have, that expose a lot of people in that way and educate them. But there's just so much more, and being connected, and hopefully we are able to connect some of these people that maybe didn't know each other just because they were in the same, class of One Coast Award winners, and we can continue that process.
Hey, when we come back, Adele and I will actually start to work through the list, starting with the top 10 under 40, and share with you who some of the winners were. Look forward to doing that. See you after this break.
His love for the coast is why he's here. It's Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. Adele Lyons from the Coast Chamber and I are just talking about the One Coast Awards, which were presented at a great celebration, packed house at the Beau Rivage this past Tuesday. And one of the things that I like about the Leadership Awards is that it gives you an opportunity to see each of the people who are selected, each of the people who are recognized, what they do, so that if you aspire to get recognition, or you aspire to make your mark, to do what I refer to, like John Harrison refers to as do your reps in the community, then this is a great opportunity to hold them up as an example. So what Adele and I are going to do now is kind of take you through the list and give you a sense of who they are and what they're involved in. So let's start from the top. Adele, Kimberly Aguilar. Tell me about Kimberly.
Kimberly has been working with the Port of Gulfport for a number of years. She's quite young. She's been involved with the chamber on a few things, our chamber, the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber as well, but she's just recently changed jobs, and she is the spokesperson for Huntington Ingalls Industries. So, certainly the port, impressive organization to work for as well, but now moving to a very large corporate setting. Kimberly balances family and work. She has young children, and she's just, very, just very spot on. Somebody who's detailed and very thoughtful, very kind person, and just somebody who, again, is an example of a young person who's moving forward in her career, growing within her career, and it was really nice to see her receive the award.
What a great career move for her to go to Ingalls. And as Paige and I talked about the other day, man, they're one of the cornerstone industries for the entire state, as we well know. And
Absolutely.
as Jerry St. Pay urged us, do not take them for granted. Some people assume they're always going to be here, but that's not we cannot never take organizations like them for granted. I was pleased actually to see two people from Ingalls recognized at the awards. We'll come back to the second one just a second. Kimberly's also involved in Junior Auxiliary Rotary Club, and she's very active in the Public Relations Association of Mississippi. Yeah. And she's been widely recognized. So awesome selection. Okay, next, Dr. Rachel Butler.
Rachel works for Coastal Family Health as their lead over their pharmacy department. She's been really involved. She was in the Leadership Gulf Coast class a couple of years ago, and she got on the board. and has been very active with our board. She also is involved with JA. You're going to see a lot of these young females are really involved with JA, which is all about helping the children of our community. And they've really grown. We've got several JA chapters here on the coast. Rachel also has been involved, across in health related issues, of course, being a pharmacist. So she's smart, she's sharp. Somebody I'm glad to have on our board for Leadership Gulf Coast, because again, she's young and she's bringing a level of energy to that board that we need to keep always.
What I remember about when her name was announced, there was a rousing applause. So team members obviously were sitting with her at the table, but you could tell people loved her.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and Coastal Family Health, of course, does a great job with, health related issues across the coast. So, here she is with a degree in pharmacy, could be anywhere, but she's working in a nonprofit to help, the less fortunate in our community.
And as you pointed out, widely recognized and also active in the community. That's a common story for most of these people who were selected. The next one is Jeffrey Ellis.
So Jeffrey also works at Ingalls, but he's more on the engineering and technology side. Jeffrey's a native Biloxian who loves the water. He's a sailor. He's a boater. He's been very involved with Mississippi State and Mississippi State alumni. Has received various awards, a national award for his involvement with Mississippi State and the School of Engineering. He also has young kids, so it's kind of the work-life balance and, being involved at Ingalls on a variety of different committees as well is not just his job. So, Jeffrey's somebody I've known for a long time since he was a little kid, and it was excited for him also to see him receive some recognition.
Yeah, he was in the U.S. Coast Guard. So this whole notion of his love of the industry, particularly shipbuilding, and how he loves sailing and all of that other stuff, it just seemed to fit perfectly. But that's a name I didn't really know, to be quite honest with you. So I look forward to having him on Coast View and telling his story.
Yeah.
Next one is Senator Jeremy England, who's been on the Coast View numerous times. Tell me about him.
Yeah, so Jeremy, he's in the state as a legislator working in the Senate. That's a tough gig. People think they just go to Jackson in January, they come home at the end of March or April, and their work is done. But they always have folks, reaching out to them. They're always out in the community trying to figure out which legislation is going to be best for the community. So just a good guy. Good to see somebody young coming into the legislature again to kind of give it some fresh life and fresh blood, new ideas from some folks who've been there for a really long time. And he's part of that team. He's participated in our pre and post legislative briefings. He doesn't mind taking the questions. He wants to hear from citizens and wants to take the questions and talk about what's going on. And so we have one of those coming up in May on the 24th. And as he was walking out the door the other day, he said, "I'll see you. I've already signed up. I'll be there." So that's time away from his job. Still serving as a senator when they're even not in session. So, always on task.
Well, I've always admired Jeremy. He got my attention when he took a hard stance on the need to change the state flag. And I've seen him before. He's conservative, Republican, but he doesn't always necessarily toe the party line on everything. The reality is he's got his own mind, and he's going to do his own homework. And he's going to stand by what he believes in. And that's really good to see in a young legislator that's just not trying to go with the flow. He's going to be a leader. And also the fact he's got a successful law firm and he's a legislator at the same time. And those are long hours, especially when the legislature's in session. I mean, you got to admire young people like that. So I'm a fan of Jeremy England and have really I've really enjoyed watching him do his gig. Okay, Shira Galloway.
Shira is a realtor. She lives in Stone County. She was in our most recent class of Leadership Gulf Coast and certainly was a force to be dealt with there. She's got a sharp wit. She's very involved in Stone County, everything from the hospital there, which is a small hospital, but so important in a rural area to have that health care. And she's just brings a level of energy and a level of, like I said, just sharpness and on the ball. A lot of very vivacious, very vivacious, and I've met her through Leadership Gulf Coast this year. Didn't know her prior to that, and she's really jumped in with both feet into the community.
What I noticed about her was, and I didn't know her either. I didn't know her, but she just glowed. I mean, people liked her, and she just glowed. And then, she's super active. Kiwanis, NAACP, United Way of South Mississippi. You mentioned Memorial Hospital Advisory Board at Stone County, which is,
Mhm.
the Realtors Association. Great to see people with energy and the ability to, impact people positively coming along in leadership. So I look forward to having her on Coast View as well and telling her story. But what a bright star she seems to be,
Yes,
and
yes.
excited about her. Brandy Huff.
Brandy works with the Harrison County Development Commission, Director of Business Development. She, everybody got a little chuckle. She was really involved in helping bring the Buc-ee's that's coming in at I-10 and Pass Christian, was very involved in that process. But Brandy's a little more quiet, a little more subdued. But she, she makes a statement and she stands by it. She's just a hard worker. She works with Bill Lavers and, of course, Marsha Crawford and some of those long timers that have been at Harrison County Development Commission. Again, bringing some fresh blood. She's been there for a couple of years. Again, has young children, and is able to balance it all and give back to the community from really the standpoint of the economic development. She's been second to none, been very involved with MEDC and MEC and all the various state economic development agencies.
Yeah, she's actually the vice president of Emerging Leaders Program in the Women in Economic and Community Development Committee for the Mississippi Economic Council, of course, the Chamber and Young Professionals.
Yes.
It's interesting. You don't necessarily have to be this huge, outspoken, self-promoter to be incredibly effective in the community. So the fact that she may be a bit subdued probably plays to her favor, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's certainly, when she's in a room, it's not that she's a wallflower. Just as compared to Shira, who we just mentioned, is a little more, when she's there. Brandy just has that more quiet disposition that is reserved, and she's great.
Hey, listen, we're giving you the list of winners of the top 10 under 40, and then we'll do community leaders next. But when we come back, we'll continue to work our way through the list. We'll see you after this.
Celebrating the people who make coastal Mississippi a great place to live, work, and play. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by the South Mississippi Boat Show, Friday, April 29th through Sunday, May 1st. And by AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Adele Lyons, the CEO of the Coast Chamber, with me, and we're reviewing the list of winners from the One Coast Awards Tuesday. And, one of the things that I would say about all the winners is that each of them in their own way is a force to be reckoned with. That's kind of the reality. And if you're going to mention someone being a force to be reckoned with, wow, for sure, Nicole Martz fits that description, doesn't she?
Yeah, Nicole's been really behind the scenes for quite a while over at the IP and with so many nonprofits. I mean, I can't even start naming them, to be honest with you. I know Shuck Cancer, and she was chair of that. She's worked with the Bacon McCarty Foundation for us at the Chamber. She's right now chair of our Coast Young Professionals group, which is very active And so that gives her a seat also on the Coast Chamber Board. Nicole is somebody who's just going to get it done, and she keeps a full plate all the time. But I hope she can keep that energy going for years to come because it is infectious.
She also does Gulf Coast Gal on
Yeah.
which has an online presence. Pretty cool. I've watched that. I've looked at her social media
Yeah.
presence. Nicole just exudes happiness, and you could tell she was very proud and great to represent the IP there. Next, Kendra MacArthur.
Kendra's from Silver Slipper over in Hancock County. Very involved in that community with the Hancock County Chamber, with their leadership program, with the PTA. It's not all business; it's about her family as well. And somebody that I know, Tish, really is proud of and proud to have involved with the Hancock Chamber.
Well, John Ferrucci is very serious about the role Silver plays in the community, and Kendra is an extension of that. So she's had a great mentor as it relates to focusing on the community. Next is Jace Payne.
Well, Jace, he is now with the city of Gulfport as their communication manager. He started with Gulfport working. He was the marketing manager over at the sports complex, and has grown into that role. He's been also very involved with the chamber, with our Coast Young Professionals group. He'll be the chair of that next year. Certainly all the activities with the city keeps him very busy, but he's been involved with PRAM, the public relations, and some other organizations. Jace is really an up-and-comer. Absolutely.
Yeah. I like the way he's redefined his career over and over again. He's been on the show before as well.
Yeah, he's great.
And then Lauren Santa Cruz.
Lauren Santa Cruz is now with Hancock Whitney. We work with her a lot on community events. She previously was with Memorial Hospital and did a great job with them. She's been involved with Coast Young Professionals. She's been involved with Leadership Gulf Coast on the board. Just very, her family's been really involved in the community for a long time. They were there the other day, Melanie and Larry Clark. And, she also has a young child, but still makes it all work and keeps all the ball in the air, and is somebody who doesn't get rattled. She's always pretty even keeled, but you can count on her every single time.
It's incredible. It's great to see the kind of support she had from her family and friends. I look forward to getting to know her better.
Yeah.
Okay, so several of these people have been on the show before. Brandon Elliott is the first of the community leaders who was honored from Elliott Homes. So much there, but he's one of those that's investing millions as an entrepreneur in coastal Mississippi, isn't he?
Well, absolutely. Just his business alone and the homes that they're building, they're kind of, first known for their custom, very high-end homes, but they've also moved to kind of a middle market because they saw the need there. They saw that we needed that level of homes and that price point in the community. I think most impressive about Brandon is his dedication to St. Jude. They have built the last 7 St. Jude's homes. I think their commitment is $6 million that they've given back. And then, of course, there's the raffle for the home. It's just, he said, we're going to do this, and they did. And they've carried it forward, and it's always a beautiful home. Just they're giving back from just that standpoint is huge.
He and his wife work together in that effort, and they make a great team, and it is inspiring. They've also obviously done work with Lynn Meadows Discovery Center. The list goes on and on, but what a great contribution. He is putting his energy and money where his mouth is as a young leader, a young entrepreneur in coastal Mississippi. It's great to see that. Guy Johnson.
Well, I mentioned Guy earlier. Guy's been with Coast Electric for a number of years. I worked with him going all the way back to the Small Business Incubator when that first opened back in the early 90s. And he's just, works with economic development throughout the area, very involved in Hancock County, the Hancock County Chamber, the Partners for Stennis. Gosh, just solid all the way around.
You could tell that Tish was delighted to see him get recognized. Again, one of the beauties of One Coast Awards is that we are able to recognize leaders across, the entire coastal Mississippi region. And there's a great cross-section of leaders that are contributing in their local communities across coastal Mississippi. The next one is Leslie Kelly.
Gosh, Leslie, worked very closely with Leslie over the years. She is right now she's moving into the program chair position for Leadership Gulf Coast. She's been involved with Kiwanis. She's involved in Ocean Springs with their education foundation. She's at Community Bank. They've just moved into a new facility in downtown Biloxi, and Leslie's making sure that they're having a ribbon cutting to get the community in to see that. And she is so focused on details. You can just count on Leslie every day, all day.
Community Bank continues to come on strong. I have a bit of an insight into Community Bank because, as you know, my son-in-law Keith Williams works there. But they're serious, and they've had a lot of success, and they continue to expand. It's a great one of the great contributors to our community here in coastal Mississippi.
Well, I guarantee if you ask Keith, he would give you high praises for Leslie. Everybody who works there, she's just one of the rocks over there for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome to see that. Pam Moeller.
Pam Moeller works for USM. She's been involved in the efforts they're bringing the blue economy and the efforts they're doing there in downtown Gulfport with the facility in the old Gulf and Ship Island building. Pam's been involved with Leadership Gulf Coast. She serves on that board, helps organize Education Day. Just so many roles and hats that she wears within USM and their connection, USM being involved in the community and have the community be involved with them as well. I mentioned the blue economy. That's such a hot issue and such a growth opportunity for the community and for USM. And Pam's right up in the middle of that.
So another one that I saw sort of this resounding support for was Charles Oakes.
Yeah, Charlie Oakes is with Sparklight. He was in Pascagoula for a long time, so he's got a real solid, group of folks that are his supporters in Jackson County. He's now over here in Harrison County at the Long Beach office. He's one that called me up one day and said, "Hey, I just want to come by and talk and make sure Sparklight is plugged in where we need to be in the community and with the chamber." I mean, he just that level of commitment and care just to make sure they were doing, what we thought they ought to be doing or other ideas of how they could get involved. Not from the area, but one of those ones here who got here as quick as he could and got involved as quick as he could in the community.
On the Baco McCarty Foundation, and as you pointed out, super active in Jackson County. So he'll bring that energy to Harrison County now. It'll be awesome to watch him play out. The other one that we're both terribly familiar with, I would say one of the real top leaders in coastal Mississippi because he was the chief of police for Gulfport, and now he's head of administration for Gulfport. But Leonard Papania, what a great inspiration he is.
Yeah, Leonard is just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I mean, just a true gentleman. And even when he was police chief, I'll never forget, at leadership classes or any other time he speaks, he'll give anybody his cell phone number. And he said, if you see something and you feel like we need to know, here's my cell number, call me. And he's like, I'm not kidding. This is my cell number. And, that phone rings all night long. And so when he retired from the police department, he's been very involved from a standpoint of homelessness in the community and how to deal with that, because the police, bear such a responsibility there when so much of it is really mental health and other things. But he's now back with the city as the director of administration once Dr. Kelly retired. And he's just stepped right in there. I mean, that's big shoes to fill behind, John Kelly, certainly, and works well with all the employees there. And just, just a solid, super, very nice guy that means business.
He means business. You mentioned the homeless community. What I admired a lot about Leonard when he was police chief is when there was difficulty in the community, maybe even in the African-American community, his willingness to go there, reach out, and be accessible. That was really important. I mean, that humanized the police department. And he knew that the key to success, I had this conversation with John Miller this week, the key to success is in communicating. It's in bringing yourself to the community and staying in touch with the community. That's one of the reasons why it's not always perfect, but we've done a really good job in coastal Mississippi in terms of race relations and other areas. And this has been a very important area for Leonard along the way. Hey, when we come back, we're going to continue. We'll complete the list of community leaders. This is Adele Lyons from the Mississippi Coast Chamber, and we're celebrating the One Coast Award winners. We'll see you after this break.
This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Adele Lyons from the Coast Chamber, and she and I are just celebrating the award winners from last Tuesday, the One Coast Leadership Award winners. Next on the list is Crosby Parker.
Well, Crosby's got a job that just unfathomable to me as being the district attorney for Harrison, Hancock, Jackson County. Just that workload, that dealing with the criminals and the court cases and just the whole 9 yards. I'm sure some of the things he has to hear and deal with is just something most of us just can never imagine. Not only that, Crosby's been involved with the military. He's, I think, ranked a colonel right now in the reserves, and just, involved a lot with law enforcement and various law enforcement organizations to bridge that gap between the district attorney's office. But very even keel guy, pretty quiet, doesn't get real shook up. Was glad, Joel Smith was there. He said he wouldn't have missed it for the world. His, the previous district attorney. I just think that speaks volumes for Crosby. He's just, just a nicer guy you won't find, but with a job that you just can't imagine.
My brother-in-law, who you know really well, Peter Bohanovich, has been telling me for the last year, you got to get Crosby on Coast View. They're very good friends. And after the awards, he came up to introduce himself to me, and we chatted for a little bit. And of course, he'll be on. But we both laughed for a bit about how hard it is to contain Peter. So that's part of Peter's story. Okay, so here we go. Next one up is Sam Sandos.
Well, that's one that's close to my heart. Sam's been involved with the chamber as the treasurer for 5 years, and then he's moved on and he's serving as president of our board this year. With Hancock Whitney Bank, his load at the bank is just, his plate's always full. You be in the regional type bank they are, they have customers all over dealing with commercial loans, really in the middle of all the PPP and everything. Still was involved with the chamber, even though they were working just crazy hours. Sam was involved with the Long Beach Chamber, serves as president there as well. So he's really kind of grown up and grown professionally through the chamber, and we just couldn't be more proud and happy for him.
Well, over the years, my close relationship with John Harrison, I've obviously heard of Sam many times, seen him out and about, but never really got to know him. So I look forward to focusing more on him, obviously having a Coast View session with him, but I've heard nothing but good things about Sam. We mentioned a few minutes ago about our friend Michael Sunderman. I was really surprised that he hadn't already been recognized, but you actually pointed out why. Just sometimes it's a number game. Maybe he wasn't even nominated before, but it's good to see him get the recognition he deserves, because he's been this steady state positive force for making sure the best of coastal Mississippi is always demonstrated.
Yeah, I go to a lot of events that are chamber events, other things, and Michael is always there. Michael and Mary, I don't know when they sleep. They're always at events. They're always out and about, always with a smile, always with a good word, always trying to find a way to show the positive on the coast, or a business or an organization or an event they're attending. He gives back to a lot of nonprofits through, the space they offer in their magazine. Been involved with the gaming associations and the Southern Gaming Summit that's coming up. And certainly, we got a little laugh about him being so involved with golf, but I know he went back to the St. Patrick golf team and been involved there. Just somebody you want in your community. He moved here from somewhere else, and I'm sure glad he did.
And it was quite a bold move when they came from Laughlin, Nevada. The name of his company is M2 Media, which means Michael and Mary. And I told Mary and the kids who were both there after the awards that we know who this award really belongs to. It's Mary. So, yeah. What a great team they are. So lastly, but certainly not least, Bridget Turan.
Yeah, Bridget is really somebody who's been, again, not from the area, moved here, I want to say 5 years or so ago, with military spouse, and jumped right in, worked with Community Foundation. She's involved with WOW, which is the Women of Wisdom, which is a group that they meet on a regular basis. They give back a lot to the community. She's gotten the volunteers for Days of Service, which is held on 9/11. through the United Way, and just really been really involved with the chamber, our chamber of champs, and a variety of organizations. Her heart is in the right place, wanting to do good for the community here.
Yeah, and again, she's one of those that has such a positive aura about her. And what's interesting to me is that our friend Dorothy Wilson, former chairman of the Coast Chamber, I had a chance to chat with her after the award the other day. But this you can see kind of Dorothy's work helping to mold people through not just her magazines but her leadership, and that's great to see too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, and there's folks, Dorothy, and you'll see, so many others. I think of, Kathy Springer as well, still somebody I see almost on a daily basis. I think, most people is, how can I carry this forward? How can I, who's going to be here to take up the helm afterwards? And, but we got to help them get there. And so I think they've been, good about that. And Dorothy is excellent. And she's actually speaking at the chamber, doing how to speak in public, because she's so good at that and sharing her knowledge.
Yeah, I enjoyed working with her at the Sun Herald. Anyway, Adele, it's been a pleasure. It's been great celebrating these winners. Thanks for putting this together and for having another great, celebration this past Tuesday. And have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good to see you.
It's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow.